And this week on the podcast, the one and only Two Friends. MSG is notoriously expensive.
That was the most money we've ever lost on a show by far.
As soon as you have the reference of what worked for someone else and you're like, oh, that's how we need to do it, it's too late. They made $200 million of gross for the tour, but they spent $220 million. And so they ended up minus 20.
America's the one place that every artist wants to crack at some point in their career. Before we start, there's a question for you. Are you trying to get your music on more playlists? If the question is yes, then carry on listening. Songstats have just made that way easier. They've got this new tool called Playlist Check, where you can pretty much see how any playlist is performing. And it even grabs the curator's contact details, which is game-changing for all of us. Like, this is amazing. When they told me about this, I was like, wow, this is sick. On top of that, they've teamed up with Submit Hub, Groover, Daily Playlist, Song Rocket, and loads more, which pretty much just allows you to submit your music to any playlist in the world, which is game-changing. And the best part of this, you can get 10% off subscription for life using the code word Will Clarke, or just hit the link in the description. If you want your music heard by more people, which we all want, you need to get involved. Songstats, code word Will Clarke, or hit the link in the description. Peace. Now time for the episode. And we're live. Matt, before you came on, Eli and I were talking about how crazy El Paso is a place where like just so many people just rock up out the middle of fucking nowhere, and you get booked to play El Paso and you're like, what the fuck? Like, where is El Paso to start with? You rock up and it's like mental.
Yeah, I heard the end of the conversation that like places that, you know, maybe you wouldn't expect to go as hard as they do. And maybe they're just like not as jaded, you know, 1,000 shows coming through a year. But I don't know. It was really fun. I had a really good time. And I think everyone else did too. So hopefully we'll be back at El Paso.
Yeah, I love that place. It's kind of mental. How was Vegas?
Vegas was great. We're at the Wynn Encore. We have like a residency there. We love it there. So we've been, you know, we go, especially in the summertime, we go almost, it feels like every week. And we love it. We got the whole crew there. And this one was a fun show. It was like the NBA had started Summer League in Vegas.
Nice.
So
yeah.
A lot of NBA guys around, and it was a fun one.
How long have you guys been doing Vegas for?
So our first like go at it was it was super exciting for us, and it was like I think fall of 2019 we were doing some testing gigs and like you know learning it a little bit. We had like 2 at Wynn, and then we like got our first residency, and it was I literally remember the show. We had a whole bus tour from January to the beginning of March. Then 2020, and then we had like a ton of spring break stuff about to happen. We like went to Mexico, then we went to Vegas, or maybe we went to Vegas, then Mexico. We did our first Vegas residency gig. And it was super fun. We had a great time. And then we literally got home, and this was like the first time getting home from tour, and everything shut down. It was like crazy. And we, you know, the last like meet and greets on the actual bus tour, you know, you started hearing about like, what is this? Like, make sure to bring hand sanitizer. This was like, honestly, this was like March 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And it was really interesting how it just went from like 100 to 0 real quick.
The Vegas thing was such a tease because like Matt said, it was our first official residency gig where we all are staying at the hotel. We get a nice dinner. We're like, this is pretty sweet. And we had like 10 more lined up, and then just boom, all 10 canceled. But so then luckily, you know, after everyone was able to get back to it, we started to back up with the Wynn Encore. So now it's been.
That was like 3 years later, right? 2023.
Yeah, we waited a little bit, but then 20.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a couple of years, and
crazy.
It's always a good time.
Yeah, that's mad. I've obviously played in Vegas, but I've never done the Vegas residency thing. So it's always been like interesting to me how that kind of part of the industry is, because it's happening more and more, right? Like I think it's becomes
one thing I will say is we joke about this, but like we are, for how many times we've been to Vegas in the past 3 years, we are, if you ask us for like recommendations for what to do in the city of Los Angeles, it's like really embarrassing how little we know or have done that is not in the confines of the Wynn Encore, because there's a lot of great restaurants there. And so we're like, yeah, of course, you know, they're hooking it up for our crew to eat there. Like,
of course. Yeah,
we're going to stay there. The whole, you know, we're lucky in that it is really just a great, you know, place to be. But, you know, we do every now and then we'll do a small excursion. Like we checked out the Sphere a couple of weeks ago.
How was that?
It was awesome. It actually, there wasn't a concert that night, but it was the nature documentary.
Yeah, I've heard that's insane.
Even the nature documentary was like so crazy.
Yeah.
And like, definitely, if you've never done it.
Went to a magic show once.
Magic show, yeah.
But these are so few and far between that we remember all of them. I went to Taylor Swift once. So there's a couple. But yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is I like Taylor Swift a lot. I like it. I wasn't the catalyst for going, but I was super happy to go.
We're all friends here. But you don't have to lie, Matt. We're all friends here.
No, I mean, obviously she's a legend and has unlimited bangers. But like you think it ends up being clockwork, but they do switch things up. That, you know, at a lot of these Vegas residencies, they have multiple venues or they have different orientations of like the venue, and every night's a little bit different. But it's fun. Also in LA, like it's such a quick flight, and a lot of our shows end up being further than that, like East Coast heavy. So, you know, it's pretty convenient for sure.
I remember listening to a Calvin Harris interview at some point, and it was like when he did a residency out there, it was like he could literally play the show, get on the jet and fly back home to LA and be in his bed by before the morning, if you know what I mean. And I think there's something beautiful about that as well.
Yeah, he was the king of Vegas. One day.
We're still on the Southwest early morning flight, but we still get home nice and
well, there's also two of you, right? And I'm sure you travel with crew, so it's like costs more money. When it's just one DJ, it's like way easier. Right. Single DJs.
Yeah. And our crew goes all different places too. So if it'd make more sense if there was like 6 of us going back to LA. But even then, the United 9 a.m. flight is probably 10x cheaper easily. Probably more.
That's rough. Why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we get the early morning flights?
We punish ourselves, but it's for good reason. It's because a lot of times, you know, if we're on the road for like a Friday night and a Saturday night, Sunday is kind of your like holy day of like, you could live life kind of, you know, and if you sleep in and take a later flight, you know, yes, it's nicer on your body probably, but then you get home, it's Sunday evening, and like, you know, we're going to get right back to it in the studio on Monday. So we like to get on that early morning Sunday flight, punish ourselves a little, but then get home and have a day for family, friends, you know, relaxing.
We'll end up doing Eli and I see each other way too much. So Sunday is like, we still see each other Sundays because we'll be flying home for half the day, but that's like the one day where, you know, if we have any social media stuff, we'll try to like knock it out before we get back to like our houses, and then be like, all right, see you Monday.
Peace.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's also like because I used to live in the States, and most of my touring is in the States. But now I'm living back in the UK full time, and I was actually talking to one of my mates on the phone literally this past Sunday, and my flight had been delayed and then got cancelled, and it was just like a whole, you know how it is, we'll get fucked over quite occasionally or quite a lot with flights. But it was the realization that, like, you know what, I wish I lived in the States again, because I miss the Sunday evening getting home and just like being able to switch off, because now living in the UK, my Sunday evening now, I arrive Monday morning or Monday afternoon, and then it's like everyone's just back on it, and it's like, guys, just finished. Chill.
Now the benefit for you is then getting there, you don't have to leave, you don't have to wake up at 3 a.m. to get to the airport to come, go to the East Coast of the US.
True.
That's the other side of it.
We that happens, it's not as common, but we'll have some Sunday shows or a Monday show randomly pop up, and then it's like, so Matt, we'll land, and we took the Monday morning flight, and we like pretty much go home, but then like either meet up at the studio or kind of just like get our laptops, take a quick shower and then like get to it, and then we're like, damn, like we kind of just skipped the whole
day.
Of, like, a weekend.
There's been month-long stretches where we're just like, I literally have not only not had a weekend, of course, but like literally not even a Sunday. And then we're pretty much grinding pretty hard through the week. So it's like, it's funny, but I mean, it's all grateful because we like, actually like we like the work. That's something we're doing it.
That also a big important part of that too is like with our touring crew, we had like for certain big shows or big festivals, there's a much larger crew, but then most shows is just our kind of smaller core crew. And like, we all get along and it's like fun to be on the road together. So I think it's a lot different if you're like, miserable and it really feels like you're trudging through
you're
it.
Working.
But, I think we feel very grateful that we like being on the road. We like being at home, and it's all about kind of just making sure we find the right balance.
How many people do you travel with?
Say for the non like huge, like for like club shows, between 5 and 7.
Oh, wow.
That's including us.
Yeah. That's including us. So it'll be us, our tour manager, our saxophonist, our photographer, and then usually now it'll be at least 6. We'll have our LD VJ, and then not sometimes, a good amount will also have like our VJ, like basically 2 guys running lights, lasers, visual combined. But honestly, it kind of depends on the show.
And then on a big show, what's the max?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, like for like Lollapalooza in August, I think we'll probably have, if you count like all the media people, like at least 60 of like random people doing everything. So it just becomes
That's a lot. That's a
lot. Yeah, on our bus tour, on like our bus tour, there'll be obviously a lot of local hands and all that. But on our actual bus, including the openers, I think we had like 22 or something. Yeah. So more like 15 crew.
Do you see the budget sheet at the beginning and then at the end, and you're like, fuck?
I mean,
honestly, it's right.
You're speaking our language. I mean, I think
you're speaking our language. It's a good way to get excited to the worst mood possible of like, damn, that was a great offer. This is gonna be an awesome show. And then like, we'll just get texted a Google Doc, and I'm like, oh my God.
And it's also because it's, like as a business, it's like important to make sure it's all getting tracked properly and like that you understand what's happening. But that doesn't, so it's like you're following up like, hey, can you update this? And then it's like, oh shit, like maybe I should have asked for that update because it's making me sad now.
It's I think the cost of touring people don't understand, like, which is it's a sad part of the industry, but also it is just part of the business, right? It's like it is what it is. But I did my first live show last year, or live tour last year.
Oh my God! That's so much more expensive that way. Like
the thing is I wasn't traveling with as many. There was 7 of us traveling.
But even once you start adding the elements, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, so obviously this. I think you're right. Some people may not be aware of like for certain. There's obviously a difference between like a club show or like a show, a tour show, more of like a concert where you're basically going into an empty room and you're building everything. So I think a big thing also that we had to learn early on is like, sometimes it is kind of like, it's up to you. It's like, if your goal is, I need to break even / profit. If you go in and like, that is your goal, then the team around you could probably make certain decisions that with that in mind, where like, that is the goal and certain things will have to be sacrificed.
Totally.
But so then it's really up to you of like how much you're comfortable with of like, like the goal is not, we know, of course, we're not going to make money on this bus for 2 months.
No,
that's out the window. Okay. So now it's up to us of like, what is the type of show we do want to build? Okay. Now show us some numbers. All right. Maybe that's a little insane, but like, let's, find the middle ground.
Tone it back. Yeah.
And then
it kind of depends, we like everyone's different. And also like there's different styles of touring. Like Eli's saying, like for us, we've kind of been thought of it. And for a while, like we've always done first we were doing like mostly, flyouts, and then we started trying like the bus tour thing once a year or once every year and a half. In 2020 was our first one, like the one we were talking about.
Yeah.
And like we've done 4, and we've definitely never made money on any of them. And we've definitely, the last 2, like we've definitely lost a lot of money, but that's all with the goal of like, that doesn't even matter if you sell every venue out. Like that's with the goal of like, oh, it'll lead to these cool opportunities that, you will make some money on, and, be able to do X, Y, Z and help grow the artist profile and give a fans great experience. So, you gotta, like, how we've been doing it is like, we kind of think about it like that. But honestly, there is a wall at some point where it's like, all right, that's just like too much. You're never going to make that back.
Yeah.
Well, so I heard, this was a rumor I remember because it's always stuck with me, was when Swedish House Mafia did one of their tours, maybe like a reunion one, there was something saying that like, maybe it was in London. I don't have all these details obviously, but it was like, or maybe it was for the whole tour. They made $200 million of gross for the tour, but they spent $220 million. And so they ended up minus 20. And I'm like, how's that
even, that's like a new skill. I don't even see on the DJ side how the hell you get to those numbers, but that's crazy.
It is mad, but I think that's the thing, is the minute you start like doing hard ticket rooms, the minute you start adding production, like you have to almost do what Taylor Swift did, where you're touring for 200 days solid. And to the extent of like, you're going to sell out every single show, and I can't remember who I was listening to. I think it was like one of the like classic bands like Guns N' Roses or something like that. And they were like, we do 3 shows. The first show, we lose money. The second show makes up for the night before. And the third show is where the profit is in the same city. So like you look at all of their tours and it's like 3 shows a night. And yeah, you have to sell that out. But like,
that's so hard in itself. It's just crazy. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, and those people.
So why do you do bus tours? I guess obviously there is that question of like, there is that the thing of like, well, you do this to do that to achieve this and achieve that. But at what point does it say, well, we're putting all this investment in, and does it actually pay off? Like, what's there to show from that?
I mean, that's the question that is important to ask yourself. But I think the short answer is like, to this point, it has worked for us. We're like, our agent, who has been our only agent that we've had for, it's been 11 years or something. And a couple years into it, we had a conversation, and it was about LA specifically, where we grew up and where we still lived. And it was the Roxy Theater, which is 500 people on the Sunset Strip, cool venue. And it was like, all right, like, this is kind of, a new mindset of like, rather than only focus on clubs and colleges and some festivals, like if you could sell actual tickets, that could lead to growth a little more easily than if it's coming back to the same club every time. So he was like, all right, Roxy Theater, 500 people, LA, get your friends, get your family, get your fans that we had at the time. Like, can we do it? And so, it was a swing that we took, and it went well. It ended up selling out. And then we're like, all right, let's try that in New York. Let's try that in Chicago. Okay. A year later, let's go back to those same cities, and instead of 500, do 750. And then a year later, come back and do 1,000 or 1,200 or whatever. And like, it you almost have to trust that it goes well.
Process.
And if what that does mean is that you can grow in those other areas, that all of a sudden the clubs and the festivals and the colleges or whatever, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, since we booked you last year, but now, you're attracting this, this bigger audience, and we sell more tickets, the tickets will be higher, whatever it is. So I think that's kind of just, you have to trust that it does pay off. And then you have to take that risk of like, all right, if you're going to spend, let's just, to simplify it, $1,000. If you're going to spend $1,000 on this show, is that going to be worth $1,000 of wow moments that mean people are going to be talking about it? And so,
totally.
Of course, if you had unlimited budget, you'd do you'd have the biggest production in the world. But
I think the other
Did it ever
benefit,
not work?
well, I mean, there's definitely been like shows that were like, damn, this city on a Tuesday, that was tough, you know? Um, but at the same time, like, and then we've actually, I was about to bring this up, like, you have to be doing those shows, like the Tuesday, Wednesday shows, even
Yeah.
we've done Monday, Sundays, we've done everything. But to even like get close to like trying to break even on those type of tours. And, you know, let's say you're going to a random city that maybe doesn't get a ton of shows. And yeah, maybe you're not going on a Friday, but you're bringing like your full or like 3/4 of your production into a room on like a Tuesday there. The people there are like, damn, like,
Pumped.
whoa,
Yeah.
I have never seen that here, especially on like a Tuesday. Like, I'm a real one if I'm going on a Tuesday and these guys came to my city. Wow, I'm going to travel for this festival to them, or I'm going to fly out to one of their big shows in one of these A markets. So otherwise, like, you can't go to those cities with anything
Yeah.
special, you know? So that's probably been one of the benefits. Like, there are random, not random, that's a bad way to put it, more like places that don't get oversaturated on shows that we've probably brought amazing production into and put on an amazing show. And hopefully that's helped in, you know, we're not just talking the New York, LA, Chicago's. So that's the other benefit, I think, of it.
But yes, I will say, I mean, you talked about a little about touring in the US. Like, I think that is a whole level of being impressive to tour in other countries. Like, I think it's like we know how much of a grind it's been in the US, and to like we said, you know, start small, then increase the size. And so it's just like having conversations about international. We that's like a huge goal for us, and we, you know, we just frankly have not done enough as we should. And so like, you know, it's like that hard thing of like, yeah, you got to grind it out, because you know, unless you're Calvin Harris, who has mega hits in every, you know, in every country knows him.
Yeah.
Like, you got to put in the work and show your face and give people a reason to come back the next time. But like, you know,
but even with Calvin, like in the early days, like he still had to grind it out.
Oh, 100%.
Right? At some point, you have to grind it for any success to happen. Like, and I think it's also, but I think, and I don't know about you, but I think there's sometimes like almost a slight ego attached to it, where it's like, fuck, we've just done 10 years grinding it out in America. Dude. Do we really want to go to England and grind it out for 10 years in a market that might not even give you what you're getting in America?
Right.
It's a conversation we have with ourselves all the time. And, and at some point, you know, there's two sides of it. One, there's the opportunity cost of like, wow, oh my God, I'm getting all these offers here.
Yeah.
For this. And also I'm near my family here and all these things. And at the other side, it's like, all right, well, like, you know, it'd be nice to be able to diversify out of US and Canada. So yeah, I totally feel you. I mean, if there's anything we would have done differently, not even that we had like that many weekends. We've really been grinding for like so many years, but it would have probably been smart for us to like try to go to the UK 5 years ago and do, you know, go to
the other thing to keep in mind too is like, you know, of course those offers are going to be, you know, small, because it's like, there's not, why would they be massive? There's not. So, but at the same time, it's like, we don't want to just go and, because it's a small budget, go and cut corners. It's like the whole point was you got to impress them and show them what you're all about. But then that's, you know, then all of a sudden for this small budget show, but we need to bring our big crew and our lighting guy and bring in some extra production and deal with all the international flights. And it's like, you know, so it's a bigger investment. But again,
way bigger.
You kind of just got to like,
it's really tough though as well. And I think there's also like, I've always struggled to play outside of the US purely because my market was built in the US, and like as much as I've tried to build it in other markets, it just hasn't gone anywhere. It's just North America, to be fair. And I think that sometimes that it's like I've now accepted that, you know what, like I just need to concentrate on the markets that actually want me. Like I'm willing, if somebody's willing to allow me to grind in other markets, put me in. I will grind till the fucking cows come home. But realistically, you also have to have that opportunity, and the opportunities still have to be right. I'm not necessarily financially, but it has to make sense for your brand,
right,
and for your life, right? Like, will it make you happy? If you're as big as you're at in the States or North America, if you're as big as that in Russia, and you had to go to Russia for 6 months of the year, does that even look nice to you guys, if you know what I mean? Like, or wherever that is. And I think there comes a point of like, well, actually, no, you know what? The market is North America, and let's just fucking stay here and build it as big as we possibly can.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, you from like being in the UK and you're from the UK as well.
Yeah.
So you probably have the best perspective on this like completely, like whether, you know, you're jaded from the UK market being tougher and the US market embracing you, whatever it is. I feel like I actually almost feel naive in this conversation. You know, like we've only taken a couple small swings. We've tried South America, you know, more of like soft stuff, but we've done a couple like runs to Europe, and because they've been so like short, it's been so exhausting, especially from LA. Like, you know, literally we had a couple shows in Europe a long time ago, and we were only there for like, I don't know, 3 days total, but there was like 2 shows, 3 countries. And we were literally just like, Europe's so amazing. We made it the worst experience ever because we were literally awake from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day. And then we'd sleep during the day and everything would be closed. Like we were in like Norway, like you know, an amazing suburb. And it was just like, we just weren't prepared. It was hard. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a grind in that way too. It's further from everything, you know, at least for us. So yeah, but that's a conversation. And sometimes like, I know what you mean by Calvin Harris, like he put in the work and grinded, and people like him have. It's almost like, do you wait to like skip a couple steps, or will those steps never come? You know, whether it's a big song in some territory or whatever it is that could jump you from going the 200 person to the 700 person, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we kind of almost have been waiting for that in a way, and like it hasn't happened. So now we're like, damn, do we just have to do it? We'll see.
I think like in this day and age as well, where like every market is so different. Like I think it's even more so purely based on the internet, right? Is like look at Germany, for example. Germany is a huge market in electronic music for so many different genres, but like the pop electronic scene in Germany is massive. There'll be records that have done like 200 million streams in Germany, and none of us would have ever have heard of it. Yeah. And you're like, how the fuck did that happen? But like those artists are specifically German pop artists, and they don't do anything else anywhere else. And it's such a weird balance as artists, because I feel like we all want all of it, but then it's also like, how do we get all of it? We don't even know how we got to what we've got now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's so like,
you don't want to lose what you have now, for sure. Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's such a weird battle.
Yeah. I've always heard that go for it, Eli.
Yeah. I was going to kind of say, shifting more to like the music side of it too, because those have been conversations also about like, you know, who we're collaborating with, whether it's a vocalist from a different part of the world, or, you know, a DJ collab with other producers, and trying to, you know, expand that way. And that also, you need to be careful, because it needs to be like authentic and needs to make sense. You don't want to be the like, you know, there's sometimes people that are like, okay, they have one Latin collab and then one this collab, but it's like, doesn't really make sense or sound like, you know, so yeah, I think it's like already hard enough to get songs to really, you know, get good momentum in the US. So then it's like, now it's like, you need to keep your eyes on the prize a little.
You also picked a really hard market for like dance pop music.
For sure.
Right. Like America isn't, and like, I want to dig a bit deeper into it, because having electronic hits in America, having a hit in America is hard. We all know that, right? Like America's the one place that every artist wants to crack at some point in their career. But having electronic hits in America is like unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, there's like one a year. You know, you get a Marshmello song, you get The Middle, or you get Chainsmokers. And you know, now you have ones that are like electronic hits, but they don't necessarily, like, you know, you have the John Summit songs or whatever. Those don't really become like the
pop hits, but they're still super helpful, and honestly, debatably more helpful than having like more of a pop hit, because you're getting people who's going to buy tickets to your show. That listening.
The conversation we have too many times over the years is like too pop for the dance playlist, or sub in playlists for community or curators or whatever. Too pop for the dance and too dance for the pop. Where, like, you know, sometimes these curators, it's such a specific vibe for like this sound for this playlist. So it needs to be a little more minimal, a little more techie, a little more housey, whatever. And then the pop ones are like, oh, this is too high energy.
This is a dance song.
There's this structure with, why is there an instrumental section? You know, like, but then it's also like, okay, but we're not just gonna, like, you know, you don't want to cater to those type of things. You want to do what you're inspired by and what
you want to do. Yeah,
exactly. So, and then it's also because, like, for example, a song like The Middle by Zedd or Closer by Chainsmokers, or these ones, like those are actually more of like in the middle, where they're, you know, but they just like cross over the threshold to like the mega sphere. So then it's like that's enticing to know that, like, oh, at the end of the day, if a song is just so good, like, it always has a chance.
Maybe we're past that point. Who knows? Like, I can't remember the last straight up, you know, definitely electronic song, but with, like, you know, amazing pop writing, everything that's been not house, like mid-tempo, that's really become like billion streamers. Like, there probably is some, honestly, like, no.
Yeah.
Even the Charlie XCX stuff is more like on the house world. So
yeah, it kind of sits more like trying to be underground, but not.
Yeah.
It's produced in a house way, but is it house music? I don't know. But yeah, you're right. It's like, I think because house has become more and more commercial over the years, and I don't mean that in a negative connotation. That it's just more readily available because more people are listening to it. It's allowed more producers / artists to write 4/4.
For sure.
You then get that in pop music on a high level, or you get the likes of like Kanye sampling old classic Chicago house records and things like that, or Beyonce, or all of those. So it's kind of made it even harder for an actual straight up dance record to even reach the level when you're competing against Beyonce.
Yeah, I mean, the Grammys is the best example. You know, it's
exactly
like,
right.
If Beyonce, I mean, Charlie XCX, that, you know, that actually does feel kind of dancey, but like, if Beyonce is like getting nominated, I don't even remember if she won, but like for like dance albums, like,
I think she did.
All right. Yeah. So it's like, no, it's the goalposts have shifted. Now, in terms of like what dance is to like who listens, who cares? People just listen to what they like. But it's definitely a weird world that Eli and I have, and every DJ in this world has had to like figure out. You know, you want to, in the end, you'll probably never have a hit. You know what I mean? And that we've kind of like a hit like a billion streamer. Like, the chances are slim, and also plenty of people have had that like can't build it into the career because it's, you know, people like that one song or whatever it is. So in the end, you just want, like, it's more important for at least in our opinion, to really have a group of fans, and it could be as big or as small, but like a core group that like will listen and enjoy the music and sees whatever it is, whether it's a similar thread between songs or a vibe or something that makes it feel you. You know, and obviously you want songs to do well, of course, but if you start thinking like only hits, oh my God, you go crazy.
Yeah, and I also just don't think anyone really knows how to write a hit. Like,
Yeah,
and I don't mean that in a horrible way, but
you're
like,
always
No.
too late, because as soon as you have the reference of what worked for someone else and you're like, oh, that's how we need to do it, it's too late, because
yeah,
enough people have tried it and it's old now.
Yeah.
like it's really funny. I don't know if it is so much in the UK, like dance scene, but like in the UK, we're very fortunate that we have a lot of electronic records that go number one on the charts. But the most hilarious thing is the minute there's another Calvin Harris record that goes in the charts, literally the day after, you go into a session and that's all people are
Right.
referencing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then you're just like, guys, like you're fucking missing the point.
Right.
Like the fact that it's a number one now, like God forbid, when we're recording this, I know this is not coming out when like in any time soon. It's coming out quite later on. But at this moment in time, MK's record, Dior's, just hit number one in the UK, which I fucking love that. I love that it's hit number one in the UK. It's the deep house record pretty much. But like, I can guarantee you, if we went into a studio with a top liner and a producer, that would be the first record they will be referencing.
Yeah.
And it's,
I mean,
it's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's hard, I think, because there's so many talented producers out there. So it's almost like, okay, the world is our oyster. What do we do? You know, especially if you haven't really like, your sound is like a little more open, you can do what you want. Like obviously and I don't even use the word ripoff because I love all of them, but like and we've even like in some of our upcoming stuff, like been playing with the concept, but like obviously Notion the Days remix, like that has inspired like 100 songs at this point that have like actually streamed really well. They're not going to be the hits like his was, but I mean, like so many songs. It's even inspired artist careers, in my opinion, this year. Because the sound is fresh. You know, it felt cool, and we're guilty of it too. Like being like, damn, I really like that. We could do that, but it's probably already getting way oversaturated. And by the time, if you start a song today, by the time it goes out, it's going to be old.
That's what I was going to say, is when you're in a session and things might be exciting, you have to stay, you have to remember that unless a rare situation where you're super independent and super fluid with your like releases, usually it's like, okay, to get all these people involved, to everyone get their agreements, to finish the song, to mix it,
finish the song,
figure out the label, like, from the day you're in that session, it could be easily a year and a half more. It could be 3 years. It could be 6 months. It could be like, no matter what, it's not going to be soon. So it's like,
and then that's also like, oh, actually, no, we need a record for the tour that we're announcing, and the tour needs to be based on the music, and it all has to link in with that. Yeah.
So we go through that too, just with staying with like almost excitement of you're in a session and it just felt good. It felt like you got along with everyone that was involved. Like the day one bounce is already feeling exciting, but like it's just how it works with your touring schedule and with other songs and juggling, a lot of projects at once that you're all excited about, but it's hard enough to, make progress on one song, let alone 10. So then it's like, a literal year could go by where you haven't necessarily touched it, but you're like, damn, like I still remember
that top liner. I love that
session was awesome. But then it's like, all right, now you hit up that person. You're like, what do we think? And they're like, oh, well, actually, it doesn't work for me anymore. And you're like, that's my fault. Cause So all that's to say, it's just like, you can't get too in your head about what song is going to be the one. You kind of hopefully just stay excited about it as much as you can.
Trust your instincts, though. You got to trust your instincts.
It's always the one that's not the one, though, that is the one.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
Pretty much, right? It's like, I always feel like it's the like, even not even on a hit level, but like 99% of my most successful records are records that either were made in 30 minutes or were made on a whim, very like just throwaway. And then it does really well. And the ones that you think are the biggest, or I've thought are the biggest, or like they have the most commercial ability, or whatever that is, they always do the worst.
You know what's funny about that? Eli and I were literally talking about this yesterday. Is also, what does the best even mean? Like, is it streaming numbers?
Interesting.
Is it like at a show what gets the best response? Is it at a show what people are singing the words of? Because for our songs, some of them relate, like there's an absolute correlation, but there's certain ones that have 30 million streams, and then we have a song that has like 5 million streams. People sing that song when we play it, and they don't sing the 30 million. And it's maybe
So
because like it got the Spotify algorithm or hit the right playlist.
Right, well, I think it got in a playlist that's like a one, you know, like a playlist
Casual
that
listener
kind of
one.
sits in
Casual listeners,
casual
yeah.
listener versus people that are really seeking it out and like intentionally, you know,
Yeah.
fans of it.
Or maybe it's more like, for lack of a better term, like, and I don't want to call it generic, but more like, I guess we sometimes use the term less offensive or more offensive, of like, all right, if you're going to a very broad umbrella of listeners, this less offensive song, you might get more people bites, but maybe they'll be less passionate about it. For the
Yeah.
more offensive or a little weirder or whatever, if you get less bites, but those people really love that song. So, you know, sometimes we think about it that way too. And at a show, I assume those more passionate people tend to be the ones coming. But we talk about this all the time.
I think Eli hit the nail on the head. It's like passive listeners or actual fans. And I think, I think during COVID, we all experienced a massive uptick in streams because there was way more people listening to music at the time. And I think the curation of playlists on all platforms were kind of starting to, you almost needed those playlists to kind of generate streams, where I feel like now, like if you get put on certain playlists, it's the playlists are so irrelevant.
You're so right. You're so right. And it changes every year, which is a crazy thing. Like,
so I think like if you can build and it goes back to what you were saying about touring, if you can build a true fan base that, you know, every time you release a record, 1 million of your fans are going to go listen to that record once, right? Or 200,000 of your fans are going to go listen to that 4 times. I personally believe that's way more valuable than
100%.
getting put number one on a playlist that people are going to listen to your record for
Casually.
a minute and go, next I want to hear some Taylor Swift, next I want to hear,
and on the same point is that kind of goes back to, you're saying, you know, I mean, obviously certain playlists, curators, editorial things, they're going to drive numbers, but even I agree with you that I think in general playlists have been, and we're just seeing this from our own music, like we get plays and it's like, well, that playlist like got no streams anyway.
Yeah.
The algorithms are kind of king now, and probably having those true fans that, like, you know, will go check it out or listen or add it or whatever would probably help more than the playlist stats of like people clicking skip and, you know, very casual.
I was going to say,
but honestly, it changes every few months. Like to us, it feels like.
I was going to say, I think it's like pretty apparent also. Like, I think people get a little caught up because there's a lot of pressure on like momentum and current and fresh and like, what's your latest release? If that one didn't do well, okay, the next one hopefully does well. But it's like, I know for me personally, in my own life, when I'm thinking about like a concert that interests me, I'm not thinking like, oh, what was that band's most current single that they are promoting? It's more like, I like that band and I know that I'm going to go to their show because I like their music. So it's all like part of the pie. And I think for us, especially also because we do our Big Booty Mix series and our original music and sometimes remixes and even some like social media stuff can fit into the pie, where it's like it all, you're just trying to like make people excited to buy into the whole thing, whether that means tickets to a show, buy some merch, stream the song, do whatever, tell their friends, like, and it's almost like we don't care which door you walk through. So
just get into the building.
Just get in. So like, I think again,
just buy a fucking ticket.
Yeah, with music, like, we need to sometimes think to ourselves like, okay, we're getting this pressure to maybe go towards this, but like, we need to make sure our fans like this and we keep their trust and we get new people. Like, because again, yeah, it's like, what if we made this like tech house banger that went number one? It's like, shit, now what? Because that is absolutely
Yeah.
nothing to do with our career at all. So like, then those people that like that song are going to come see our show and hate us. And then if we get to Techie, then our fans that we've spent 15 years building up are going to hate. So it's like, I think it's just so important for people that it's just like, just do what you like. And
it's such a balance, right? Well, and I think also to add on to that is, I think the time it takes for a fan, not a super fan, but just a casual fan that buys tickets to your shows when they can, right? How long it takes them to actually hear your new music and also live with it, right? Like, I think as artists, we have this, I can only speak for myself, but have this huge expectation that you're going to release a record and the fans are going to know the record within like a month. And it's like, no, like even I don't know the lyrics to some of my, I can't sing the lyrics to some of my songs. So how the fuck can I expect like actual fans to do that? And also like, okay, we've lived with it for 6 months before it comes out. We've lived with it for a year. We've played it for a year. Like no one knows that record's ours. That I genuinely love playing new records in a club and seeing the response to it and going, I know that when I release this in 3 years' time, you guys are going to be wanting to hear this. But right now, you don't give a fuck about this record.
So true. You got to think about that like that, especially when you're doing, I guess, a little more on the poppy side. Yeah, if it's just an absolute banger, people know how to dance. You know what I mean? Yeah. But a lot of our stuff tends to be like, yes, there'll be songs, drops and stuff like that, but they're songs first and foremost. And it is funny because like I have absolute memories of like playing a song. Maybe it's more in the dance pop side, like, but like a great song unreleased, and I'm like, maybe that reaction was not exactly what I wanted. But like now we play it, everyone sings it. So it becomes more of a thing. Unreleased music in this space, I think, is very hard to really get people extremely excited, because you're not going to get that, like, I don't know, like, you know, obviously we all follow the same EDM Instagram accounts, and it's like, yeah, that isn't like the craziest sound you've ever heard with like, you know, the craziest rhythm drop or whatever with a billion lasers. Like it just doesn't fit. But at the same time, it's like, what, are you going to just start making that because like it goes off unreleased? We've done what we actually like have seen, and we, you know, because we've seen what you're saying, like sometimes it's like, you need to wait for people to learn the words. And this actually has helped a lot for unreleased songs that we're going to play a lot, and we have our VJ and stuff. We'll have like really aesthetic, like vibe, and the visual will be kind of based around the lyrics. So people like, they'll just be like looking past us and like kind of singing along or reading along. And it's dope because first of all, it's just like a cheat code to like get people to learn the lyrics. Like how would they know it? How would they know it? They never heard it. They're hearing it for the first time. So on our tour, we did that with like 2 or 3 unreleased songs. And first of all, obviously people are a little more engaged, like watching. But second of all, people end up asking more about those songs. They're like, the one with these lyrics, you know what I mean? Like, I remember those lyrics. Like, when are you releasing this song? Because I know if I'm at a show, especially if I'm, you know, a couple drinks in, hanging, like, I might remember something, but if I see it or like can, you know, have a line that like stuck with me, it'll be a little more memorable. So that's one thing that's helped us with unreleased music.
No, it makes complete sense. It's I had SG Lewis on the podcast. I recorded it this morning.
He's awesome.
But yeah, he's great. But we were also just talking about the power of an actual song. Like club music, a club record's fucking banging, right? Like a really good kick, bass, great, right? But the power of just a song, like a real well executed song, is just so fucking powerful.
Yeah. It's probably harder to get people in the sense of like to know every word than being like, okay, this is an absolute banger and it's going to go off live every time. But the payoff is huge. I mean, go to, you know, we've been talking about Calvin Harris. Go to one of his shows. Like Yeah, people are dancing, but like they're also singing every single
It's
word because
fucking
they know every
wild.
single song.
It's
So
wild
that's
what
kind
he's
of the
done.
goal. In our space, that's the golden like feeling of like, oh my god, the whole crowd knows this song. And for our really hard ticket shows, like where it's like true fans, like
Yeah.
we'll see more and more and more of that. But we'll know we check that box when like everyone, because we really haven't had a hit like a big one, and it's gonna be cool if and when that ever happens.
Yeah.
For like the crowd sings every single word of one of our songs.
Yeah. Fucking crazy. Crazy. How do you split up your touring and your music with the Big Booty and your original stuff? Also, side note, Big Booty was one of my like biggest records back in the day.
I did know that, but we spell it differently. We do it with the IE.
Oh,
we
you
do,
do?
we
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
do it with the Y, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess for anyone listening that doesn't know, it's like a Big Booty Mixes or like a hour-long mix series where it's like a mega mashup.
It's fucking
bootleg,
crazy,
amazing.
by the way. They're mental.
Yeah, we
Thanks, man.
a lot of songs from different genres and different time periods, just all kind of blended together for like a hour-long mix. So I think, yeah, I mean, that's also been something that, we've definitely had a ton of conversations about, of like, how do you bridge the gap between, how do you get people that have no clue, because it works both ways. There's some people that like know us from Spotify and some of our songs, and they come to a show where it's a lot more like, a lot of sing-along vocals and chaos, and they might not be aware of that. And then vice versa, the people that listen to the Big Booty Mixes every day at the gym or on their road trips, and they might not be as familiar with the original song. So we're always thinking of like, how do you bridge the gap? But at the same time, it's like, how do we let them help each other, and not, you don't want to like neuter one for the sake of the other.
Yeah.
How do you kind of let them each flourish, but like, as we were saying earlier, kind of become pieces of the pie that is two friends. And I think
a new door.
Yeah, it's worked. We've built it up and we've gotten lucky, and it's just kind of worked out where like a lot of our audience, I think, in a very cool and good way, is like they might not be as familiar with dance music and not know as many of the underground artists, not go to as many of the the dance clubs, but they're maybe more in line with like some pop acts or like Noah Kahan, just like a cool guy, and then this is like, when it's for them, it's almost like a super high energy version of just like a concert, compared with thinking of it as like, how does this compare to like the rave?
Yeah, which the thing for me that like, and I think that, and let me hash this one out because it might sound bad to start with and it isn't bad, but I think there can be, especially in the dance music industry, there's a connotation where there's like fans that like very commercial music as a negative, right? Sometimes it can be looked at as like, well, they're just not cool, right? But you know what is cool? Throwing a show at Madison Square Gardens, right? And that's my kind of thing of like, okay, yeah, like, are you being the most, and this isn't at you guys, but is the fan the most intelligent music fan in the world? Like, do they know about fucking DVS1 and his raves that he threw in fucking Minneapolis that in the 90s, and do they know that much about music? No. But do they want a fucking good time? And do they spend their hard-earned money to go to Madison Square Gardens or something like that they go have the best night and then they tell all their friends about that? And I think like there's this horrible, I really dislike it in the electronic music scene, that like there's this almost negative connotation for being successful.
And by the way, we love the other side of the spectrum too.
Of course you do. Yeah.
That do know the whole roots and all the subgenres and all that. We love having those people at our show too. And then for that side of it, our like mindset is almost, okay, maybe they're used to like certain parameters that exist for the shows they've seen. How can we bring a fresh thing? So we go to like, a festival that is all electronic acts, but but we have our saxophone playing live, and we might bring out a singer, and we do this song that you didn't think you'd hear, and like interact with you in fun ways. So I think again, it's almost like, how can you
just two sides?
Yeah, how can you?
That's what I also love about America, and I don't think only from my experience, I don't think you necessarily get that from a European fan, where I go to festivals, play festivals, and I'm sure you guys do, where there be somebody that will want to go and see, I don't know, Sven Vath, for example, and then on the other stage Tiesto's playing and they go and see Tiesto. Like in Europe or in the UK, that just doesn't happen, right? It's like you have specific fans of like, I like that, but I can definitely guarantee the Sven Vath fans are not going to go and see Tiesto or David Guetta or something like that. Whereas I feel like in America, there's way more of an openness to just whatever the fuck they like.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say because there's, and this is how almost we put it, similar how you're kind of saying, is like, there's almost a silent majority of people who just like listen to music. Like,
yes. Yeah.
For us, like when we're seeing Spotify Wrapped, like, no, it's not, it's usually not like two friends, Tiesto, bad example, because he does have those crossovers, but like, it's not two friends, John Summit and stuff. It's like he's saying, it's like two friends, Noah Kahan, stuff like that, which is interesting because it's almost like, okay, they just like listen to music. And then it shows you get both sides as well. Some people are like, I only go to dance shows and this is like on the edge of what I'd go to. And then some are like, I have literally only gone to Coldplay concerts my entire life. This is my first this.
Yeah.
So, you see both sides.
That's like a funny little sub community of people. Like, I feel like we actually do pretty well with like older parents who have never been to like a EDM show,
and their like daughter will bring them through.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, and to be honest, if they went to like a crazy dubstep show, they might be like totally turned off and overwhelmed. So it's like, for when they can see when we play some older throwback songs from the 80s or whatever, that they're like, oh, I know that song. That's fun to hear a DJ kind of put a spin on it. So I think that's, again, it's like we're trying to like, anyone can hopefully have a good time and feel like what we're providing is kind of something that it feels a little different.
No, I love it, Matt. I love it. What you guys are doing, it is completely different to what anyone else is doing, and it also makes sense of why it's successful. It makes complete sense. Whilst we're on the subject, just for me being selfish, how is playing at MSG?
Well, it was definitely a life goal achieved. Never saw it coming, so that was sick. that was actually for so Big Booty Land is like one of our like, we've been doing one or two a year, and they're like, some of our biggest shows, and they're like kind of a premiere of one of the new Big Booty mixes. By premiere, it's a loose term. Like, we're premiering pieces of the mix, like a lot of them, but we're bringing everything, like going hard. We have our drum line, our saxophonist. We just did one in Seattle. We had all of that and like a horn section. So that one was definitely like, damn, bucket list. But at the same time, oh my God, it was the most stressful show of my life by far.
I bet.
Like we were like 15 minutes late to stage because like nothing was working right before, because it's like there was a show the night before and like, our team started at 4 a.m., but there's just too much shit to put in the room. So, things don't work, things go. But luckily 99% of things all worked. That was a special moment. A lot of family there, a lot of fun stuff. So, but it's interesting. Like it does show you like, those shows, they're for the moment, they're for the fans and everything, and they're for yourself, but they're definitely not for making money.
Oh no. Like MSG is notoriously expensive.
Yeah. That was the most money we've ever lost on a show by far.
Yeah. One of my friends, she's a manager of somebody quite big as well, and they did the MSG show, sold it out, and then had to go do a Brooklyn Mirage show 3 nights in a row to sell that out to make money back off what they did on MSG.
It's just crazy. Yeah. I mean, for iconic places like that,
Right.
you're doing it for the look, for the, to help on other things.
Which is funny because Matt actually, I think, said this earlier today, but like you do a show that personally is so fulfilling and like special and like, oh my God, we're here at this festival, we're here at Red Rocks, we're here at this show, but it's like, but like, why is it that it's so cool and it's so many people, but like we're losing so much money? It like doesn't like connect versus, the truth is sometimes there's a show that might be tiny and it's a private thing and financially was great, but it's like not necessarily that level of like pride.
Whoa. Yeah.
So, you gotta have one to have the other, I guess.
I was literally
you gotta have both pizza.
I was literally talking to my mum about this, like about 15 minutes before our call, or before this podcast. Like, there's certain things that you do just because you want to do it, and you kind of have to just make it work in your head. But also, it's sometimes mentally quite draining when you're like, I'm doing all of this, I'm spending all of this money for what? Right? Because it's sometimes hard to quantify, right? Of like, well, this does that, and this turns into this, and this turns into that. It's like,
I would say it's only a small percentage of the time is it quantifiable. Most of the time, you just have to like trust your team or the process. The only times it's like quantifiable and which is actually the most rewarding things is if like, okay, this show did really well, and like within like a certain amount of time, you just get an offer for like the festival in that city.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, that was 3 times more than we got paid for this one. Like, okay, that was worth it. But like most of the time it's not as cut and dry. You got to kind of be smart. You got to like, know your risks, know what's helpful, what's not. And, we've both been in this world for so long that you kind of start having a little bit of instincts, but new situations arise all the time. Situations that no one on your team has really been in, and they can pretend to like know, and you can pretend to know, but at the end of the day, you're just kind of taking a swing and the onus falls on you. No one else is paying for something, or no one else is necessarily taking the time risk or the what you could be doing in that time anyway, or being away or whatever. So luckily, I mean, I can't imagine being a solo DJ. Like, it's so helpful for me, and we just are bouncing. Like, we almost have the same brain in a way, and like we usually know what each other are thinking, but it's nice to just ask. But all our solo DJ friends, like, I imagine relationships with team members, other trusted people are like very, very strong. They gotta be,
I wouldn't know any different, right? Because I've never really done it how you guys have done it. And I guess like I always am like, oh, it must be hard being in a duo kind of situation, but you just make it work, right?
That's right.
For us too, we were best friends before any of this, so I think it made it a little easier to just like already know how to work together in a sense, even though we had never professionally worked together, but like versus kind of being like two people that were put together after they had done, so I think that's
I
think
the fact is that if you know how to communicate with each other, that's the first thing that any relationship needs, right? Whether that's your manager, whether that's your girlfriend, boyfriend, duo partner, agent, is as long as you can communicate correctly together and work things out, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And I think, as you get older, get more wise, I think you learn a lot. And like, I've definitely learned a lot, or like had more insight on myself on like what's the most effective. Because sometimes, I mean, this job is so draining, so rewarding. The highs are highs, lows are lows. So being emotional is so inherent in it all. But at the same time, that's not necessarily the most effective leadership tool. So it's helpful, at least for us, to just kind of like be able to, we're always on the same team. Boom. Yeah. Okay. What's next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before, we make any moves, whatever we're doing. So that at least is a sanity check.
No, I agree. Matt, Eli, I feel like we could probably do another 2 hours on this, but I don't want to bore.
Easy.
I don't want to bore anyone else. Thank you so much for coming on. Like,
Thanks for having us.
I genuinely think people listening to this will get a lot from this, especially coming from the perspective of where you guys sit in the industry. It's just amazing. So, congrats on everything you've achieved. Thanks so much for coming on, and hopefully catch up.
Likewise. Yeah, man. Hopefully it'll be a LA trip at some point. We can connect in person.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Big love, boys.
We're due for the UK.
Yeah. Come over. Stay on.
Right.
One sec. And that's a wrap. Big love to Matt and Eli for coming on. Really, really enjoyed that episode. Thanks everybody for listening. Till next time.